Your reality is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Look around you. Every structure you see, every success story, every moment of breakthrough ever lived began as a silent picture in someone's mind. Every empire was first an invisible idea. Every fortune, every invention, every piece of progress, all of it began with imagination. The world you see is nothing more than condensed imagination, belief made visible. And yet most people make the same mistake. They look at the outer world, at the evidence of what is, and let it dictate what they think, feel, and expect. They call it reality. But reality is only yesterday's belief. What you call the present is merely the echo of a past state of consciousness. To master your life, to become truly rich, not only in wealth but in joy, freedom, and divine power, you must learn the sacred art of ignoring appearances. You must learn to close your physical eyes and open the eyes of faith. You must remember that the unseen is more real than the seen. For Scripture says we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is perception, the ability to see with the inner eye that which is not yet visible to the outer. Faith is the awareness of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the creative lens through which all things are born. When you learn to live by the law of assumption, the entire structure of your life begins to bend toward your inner conviction. The law is simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. It is not the outer effort that changes your world. It is the inward knowing. Whatever you assume to be true, whatever you persist in mentally must appear in your world. The law of assumption is the same law by which God created the universe itself. In the beginning there was only consciousness, and consciousness said, "Let there be light." The words were not commands to an external world, they were inner declarations. God imagined light, felt its reality, and light appeared. That same creative power lives in you. To ignore your current reality does not mean denial or delusion. It means to stop giving power to appearances that contradict your desire. You are not here to argue with your circumstances. You are here to transcend them. Every time you focus on what you don't want, you keep it alive through attention. Energy flows where attention goes. You are the gardener of consciousness, and your attention is the water that nourishes every seed. If you water fear, lack, and limitation, they will grow. If you water faith, abundance, and fulfillment, they will flourish. The outer world always obeys the inner gardener. Now listen carefully, this is the turning point. To become super rich, to become abundant in every sense, you must stop reacting to life and begin creating it. Your mind is a living workshop where every fortune begins. What you feel yourself to be determines what you will experience. If you see yourself as struggling, life will mirror struggle. If you feel yourself as free, life will mirror freedom. The law of assumption has no favorites. It responds to your dominant belief. Say to yourself, "I am wealth, I am abundance, I am freedom." Not as a mantra to convince yourself, but as an act of remembering your divine nature. Because the truth is this, you are not becoming wealthy. You are returning to the awareness that you already are. All creation is finished. Everything that could ever exist, every version of you, every possible outcome, already exists in the eternal now. You are not creating wealth, you are selecting it. You are moving in consciousness from the version of yourself who wants wealth to the version of yourself who is wealth. This is the power of assumption. You assume the end, you live from it inwardly, and then the world rearranges itself to mirror your inner state. Neville Goddard once said, "Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified." When you assume a state, when you feel yourself to be the person you wish to be, you enter that reality in consciousness. And since consciousness is the only reality, your world must conform to it. To the world, this may seem like ignoring reality. But the mystic understands you are not ignoring reality. You are shaping it. You are choosing which version of reality to give life to. The poor man says, "When I have money, I will feel rich." The master says, "Because I feel rich, money will appear." The poor man says, "I will believe when I see it." The master says, "I will see it because I believe it." This is the reversal that separates the awakened from the asleep. Wealth, like any other state of consciousness, is not earned. It is assumed. You cannot get rich by chasing money. You become rich by embodying the consciousness of abundance. You must feel yourself to be surrounded by plenty, even when appearances suggest otherwise. You must feel the reality of your desire so completely that the world cannot help but echo it back to you. And this requires discipline, not of effort, but of imagination. The discipline to withdraw your attention from lack, the discipline to refuse the temptation of doubt, the discipline to persist in your vision until it becomes fact. When you understand this, you begin to live as the Creator rather than the creation. You no longer beg God for blessings. You embody the blessing. You no longer pray from separation. You pray from union. You no longer say, God, give me, but Father, I thank you that you have heard me. John 11:41. Because that is the voice of the awakened. Gratitude before evidence. Knowing before seeing. Every wealthy person, every inventor, every creator who changed the world consciously or unconsciously lived by this law. They persisted in the unseen long before the world saw the evidence. They ignored what was and held steadfastly to what could be. And so must you. When the bills pile up, close your eyes and remember, this is only a shadow. The truth of your being is abundance. Feel it. When doubt whispers, answer with faith, it is done. When fear rises, remind yourself, my imagination is the source of my supply, because it is. The world is not your source, it is your reflection. Every dollar, every opportunity, every open door you will ever receive begins within. You are the cause of your wealth, not the effect of it. When you imagine yourself wealthy, when you feel it with conviction, the universe must find ways to express it through you. New ideas, new relationships, new timing. The how is never your concern. The state is. You are not here to struggle for abundance. You are here to remember that abundance is your nature. The law of assumption teaches that your inner world and outer world are one continuum. When you change your assumption about yourself, you change your destiny. And the secret is this: you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve both faith and fear, both abundance and lack. You must choose. Each moment you entertain a thought of limitation, you are bowing to a false god. But when you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are serving the God of creation, your own wonderful human imagination. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are not claiming to be greater than God. You are claiming your identity in God. For Christ said, all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Matthew 21:22. He did not say some things. He said all things. The universe does not withhold. It mirrors. It cannot deny you, because it is you. Now, let this truth settle deeply. You are always assuming something. You are always imagining. The question is not whether you are using the law. The question is whether you are using it consciously or unconsciously. If you dwell on worry, you are assuming lack. If you dwell on gratitude, you are assuming abundance. If you dwell on fear, you are assuming separation. If you dwell on love, you are assuming oneness. You are always creating. The only difference is whether you are aware of it. So begin now. Become conscious of your assumptions. Ask yourself throughout the day, what am I assuming to be true about myself? And if the answer does not align with your desire, change it instantly. Replace it not through effort, but through imagination. Close your eyes. Enter the silence. Feel yourself in the scene of fulfillment. See it. Hear it. Feel the joy of it as though it were happening now. Let that feeling become your new state. Persist. Even when the outer world resists, persist. Even when circumstances contradict, persist. Because the moment you persist in assumption, reality begins to bend. It may not happen all at once, but like the turning of the tide, the shift is inevitable. Your inner state is stronger than any external fact, because facts belong to the past. Faith belongs to the eternal now. To ignore reality is not to close your eyes to truth. It is to see a higher truth. It is to look beyond appearances into the eternal. You are not escaping life. You are mastering it. The rich man is not the one who has much, but the one who knows much, the one who knows who he is, the one who understands that wealth begins in consciousness. When you walk through the world with that knowing, life itself becomes your servant. This is the secret of the law of assumption. It is not positive thinking. It is divine certainty. It is the realization that consciousness is the only substance, and assumption is its creative act. So assume the highest. Speak to yourself as one who already possesses what you seek. Live as though your wish is fulfilled. And when doubt arises, remember the words of Jesus. Believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Believe that you have received, not that you will. Feel the state of wealth now, and it must crystallize in your world. The outer world will try to distract you. It will present evidence to the contrary. Ignore it. Do not fight it. Simply look past it. Say quietly, it is done. Say it until you feel it. Say it until you know it. Say it until the vibration of truth fills every cell of your being. And then let it go. Creation is finished. Your desire is already complete. You need only to walk in faith until the unseen becomes seen. This is how you ignore reality. This is how you become rich in spirit and in form. This is how you awaken to your true power, the power of assumption. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and assume the feeling of your dream fulfilled. Fall asleep not as the one who wants, but as the one who has. Let that feeling saturate you, for as you sleep, your imagination continues the work. And when you awaken, the first signs of change will already be unfolding. Persist in the assumption, and the day will come when you no longer imagine being rich because you are. And when that day comes, you will understand that wealth was never outside you. It was always the reflection of the wealth you carried within the abundance of consciousness, the richness of imagination, the certainty of divine law. You have always been the creator. You have always been the source. And now you know the secret. Ignore reality. Assume the feeling and watch as the whole universe bends to your belief. For the world will always echo the words of your faith. As you have believed, so be it unto you. You elect. And when this truth begins to take root in your spirit, everything around you will begin to change quietly, subtly at first, and then with undeniable power. What once felt fixed will begin to loosen. What once seemed impossible will start to move. You will watch circumstances, people, and opportunities align themselves in ways your logical mind could never have planned. This is not luck. This is law. This is the divine precision of consciousness responding to itself. For there is no separation between the inner and the outer. There never was. What you call the universe is simply your own awareness wearing infinite masks. It is the mirror that reflects the tone of your inner conversation. The money, the success, the relationships, the freedom, they are all expressions of one thing, your state of being. To become rich in the outer world, you must first become rich within. You must saturate your inner world with the feeling of abundance until it becomes the atmosphere you breathe. True wealth is a state of mind before it is ever a number in an account. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that life itself supports you, that divine supply is infinite, that you and the source are one. When you begin to live from that truth, fear evaporates. You stop worrying about how things will happen because you understand that consciousness provides the how. You stop comparing yourself to others because you realize that every soul is unfolding in divine order. You stop doubting your power because you have experienced it. And here is the deeper secret. Ignoring reality does not mean rejecting what you see. It means seeing through it like light passing through glass. You acknowledge the world, but you no longer identify with it. You recognize it for what it truly is, the outpicturing of your past assumptions. You are not trapped by your environment. Your environment is trapped by your imagination. It cannot change until you do. So when appearances contradict your vision, smile. That is the old world dissolving. That is the shadow losing its substance. Stay loyal to your new assumption. Let the world rearrange itself in obedience to your new state. When you assume the feeling of wealth, of freedom, of limitless abundance, you step into alignment with the frequency of that reality. And as you continue to assume the highest, you will notice something extraordinary. Your desires will evolve. What once felt like ambition will become expression. What once felt like striving will become service. You will begin to understand that abundance is not about accumulation, but about circulation. The movement of divine energy through you, to you, and from you. You will give freely because you no longer fear lack. You will create joyfully because creation itself is your nature. That is the true meaning of being super rich. It is not merely the possession of things, but the realization that all things are already yours. It is the awareness that you are the heir to the kingdom, the child of the infinite, the manifestation of the Most High in form. Christ said, "All that the Father hath is mine." John 16:15. And because you are one with the Father, all that is His is also yours. Every time you return to that awareness, you withdraw your attention from the illusion of limitation and place it back where it belongs in the boundless field of imagination. And this is how you train your mind to ignore reality. When fear whispers, "Look around, nothing has changed," you answer, "Because I have not finished changing within." When doubt says, "But where will it come from?" you say, "It already exists in the unseen." I've won. When lack tries to seduce your focus, you turn inward and feel the fullness of divine supply. You refuse to bow to appearances. You remain faithful to the unseen. You continue to walk by faith and not by sight. And eventually, the sight will match the faith. Because the world is clay and your imagination is the potter. The world is a mirror and your inner speech is the brush. The world is the echo and your assumption is the voice that commands it. So command it with love. Command it with confidence. Command it with the authority of one who knows they are made in the image of God. If you wish to change your life, change your assumption. Begin every day as the person you desire to be. Speak, walk, and act as though it were already done. Let your tone, your posture, your inner dialogue reflect the fullness of that reality. You are not pretending you are remembering. And as you live from that new assumption, you will feel the subtle shift, the inner click of alignment when your outer world begins to bow before your conviction. That is the moment you realize you were never manifesting wealth. You were manifesting yourself. Money, opportunities, success, they were never the goal. They are the reflections of who you believe yourself to be. So, believe yourself to be limitless. Believe yourself to be favored. Believe yourself to be guided by divine intelligence. Believe that everything you touch prospers, not because you are trying to force it, but because that is who you are in consciousness. And when that belief becomes natural, when you no longer have to remind yourself because you have become it, the outer world will rise to meet you. You will walk into rooms and feel doors open before you. You will speak, and people will listen with respect. You will take inspired action, not from fear or desperation, but from clarity and ease. Because the law of assumption has become your way of life. It is not a technique. It is not a ritual. It is the recognition that imagination creates reality. Every fortune you build, every blessing you receive, every success you manifest, each one begins as a quiet moment of faith, as a single inner assumption held with love. So guard your inner speech as sacred. Guard your imagination as holy ground. Do not let worry or limitation pollute it. The secret to ignoring reality is to live so fully in the feeling of the desire that the old reality no longer tempts your attention. You will find yourself smiling at circumstances that used to trouble you because you now see them for what they are, fading shadows. And when wealth begins to flow, when the money, the freedom, the ease, and the joy begin to multiply, remember this: it did not come to you, it came from you. You are the source. You are the cause. You are the infinite imagination through which God creates worlds. So live boldly, assume lavishly, speak with authority, and let the riches of heaven express themselves through you in form. Because abundance is not something you pursue, it is something you allow. The secret to ignoring reality is not to fight what you see. It is to love what you imagine more. And when that love becomes stronger than your doubt, when that faith becomes more real than your fear, the universe will have no choice but to align with you. For the world is consciousness, and consciousness obeys the one who dares to assume. Now, close your eyes, feel it, live in it, know it, and whisper softly to yourself, "It is done." And as you do, let the truth resound through every fiber of your being. You are not becoming rich. You are rich, and the world will soon catch up to the song you've been singing all along. That is the law. That is the secret. That is the power of assumption. And it was always yours. And as you rest in that awareness, that quiet, unshakable knowing, the very air around you begins to change. You can feel it, subtle yet certain, like the warmth of the sun breaking through the clouds after a long night. This is what happens when consciousness shifts. The invisible moves first, and then the visible follows. The unseen rearranges itself to make the seen new. For the universe is not outside of you waiting to respond. It is you. It breathes with you, moves with you, and listens for your assumption like an instrument waiting for the hand of its player. You are both the musician and the song, and the melody you play through imagination becomes the symphony the world performs around you. There is a sacred law at work beneath every heartbeat. According to your faith, be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. Faith is not wishing. Faith is knowing. Faith is assuming that the invisible is already visible, that the formless has already taken form. Faith is the evidence of things not seen because it is the seen. When you learn to ignore reality, you do not abandon truth, you embrace a higher truth. You do not reject the physical, you transcend it. You no longer look to appearances to decide what is real, for you have come to understand that appearances are the echo of old belief. Reality, as the world calls it, is only the residue of your past assumptions. What you once believed about yourself is what you are living today. What you assume now will become the world you walk in tomorrow. The mind that learns to detach from appearances becomes unstoppable. The imagination that remains loyal to its inner vision becomes divine. This is the narrow gate Christ spoke of, the gate of disciplined awareness. Few find it because few are willing to ignore their senses long enough to believe in what cannot yet be seen. But the moment you do, creation begins to obey you. So when you close your eyes and imagine yourself already rich, already free, already fulfilled, stay there. Do not look back for confirmation. The moment you seek proof, you have left faith and returned to doubt. The seed does not sprout the instant it is planted, but its growth is certain once it has been sown in good soil. Your imagination is that soil. Every time you feel gratitude for what you have not yet seen, you are watering that seed. Every time you refuse to speak lack, you are nurturing its roots. Every time you persist in the inner knowing that it is done, you are hastening the day of harvest. And the harvest always comes, sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically, but always perfectly. The man or woman who learns to ignore reality becomes free from its tyranny. They stop being a victim of circumstance and become the author of circumstance. They no longer ask, what can I do? But rather, who must I be? For being is the cause, and doing is only the effect. You become rich not by the effort of hands, but by the certainty of consciousness. The wealth you seek is not earned, it is expressed. It flows through the channel of your belief. You were never meant to chase money. You were meant to attract it by being the embodiment of abundance itself. Every dollar that has ever existed is energy, the same energy that moves through you when you imagine, when you love, when you create. Money is not your master, it is your servant. It takes the shape of your assumptions and obeys the vibration of your faith. So speak to it as you would a friend. Bless it when you see it. Thank it when it flows. Never curse it, never fear it, never doubt it. For money is simply the visible echo of your invisible faith in supply. To become super rich, you must think like the Creator, not as one who wants, but as one who is. You must live from the end, not toward it. You must wake each day already feeling the completion of your desire. Do not wait for circumstances to convince you. Circumstances are followers, not leaders. The world is your shadow. You move, it moves. You decide, it aligns. You are the cause of every effect. You are not a product of circumstance. You are the power that shapes it. And yet this power works only through stillness, never through strain. You cannot grasp what is already yours. You must rest in the awareness of it. Creation is effortless when you are aligned with its source. When the world tempts you to doubt, remember, nothing outside can disturb what is established within. You have already chosen your state. You have already declared your wealth. You have already assumed your end.
Tonight, I want you to let go of every doubt, every fear, every reason you've ever had for why your dream hasn't happened yet. Because the moment you hear this and truly hear it, the moment you allow the truth of it to slip into your soul, the universe will begin to bend itself in your favor. Not gradually, not slowly, not reluctantly, but as quickly as you are willing to believe. One night, that's all it takes. One night where you stop thinking from the place of your senses and begin to think from the place of your imagination. One night to rearrange the structure of your reality. Now listen carefully. Everything you experience in this world is a mirror of your inner state. Everything. There is no exception. If something is missing out there, it is because it is missing in you. If something is appearing again and again, It is not because of some external force, but because your inner conversation repeats it like a broken record. But the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain loyal to that assumption, the universe will conspire to make it real. You do not have to beg the universe. You do not have to chase anything. You simply have to accept that you already are the person who has it, and that one assumption will do more for you than years of struggle. Most people live in reaction to the world, not realizing they are the cause of it. But you, tonight, can step into the greatest secret that has ever been known. You are the creator, not in theory. In truth, you are the operant power. There is no power outside of your consciousness. None. All things, be they wealth, love, health, recognition, success, they are all servants to your inner state. That inner state is yours to choose. You are not a victim of fate. You are not a product of your environment. You are the origin. And the universe, as obedient as a faithful servant, responds to your every dominant assumption. Not sometimes, always. So tonight, before you go to sleep, you will do one thing. You will assume that what you desire is already yours. Not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a fact, a spiritual fact. If you desire to be wealthy, then feel wealth in your bones. Not the desire to be wealthy, that is poverty, but the feeling of being wealthy, of having more than enough, of security, of power, of generosity. If you desire love, do not reach for it. Become it. Fall asleep in the state of being loved, wanted, cherished, desired. If you want success, then assume the feeling of already being a success, already being applauded, already being recognized. Let me tell you a great truth. What you feel in imagination, when sustained and believed, will harden into fact. There is no difference between imagining and creating. In fact, imagining is creating. That is why all things begin in consciousness. You will never experience anything in this world that you have not first imagined. This is not poetry, it is law. If you imagine lack, you will live in lack. If you imagine abundance, you will dwell in abundance. If you imagine betrayal, you will see it. If you imagine love, you will be surrounded by it. It is not about the outer world. It is about how you see yourself within. When you change how you identify yourself in imagination, everything around you must realign. The outer world is nothing more than the shadow cast by your inner world, and you can change your inner world this very night. Tonight, as you lie in bed, become quiet. Still your body. Close your eyes, and feel as if the thing you desire is already done. Not tomorrow, not in a few months. Now, feel what you would feel if it were already true. Enter the state of fulfillment and dwell in it. That is the secret. That is the alchemy of the soul. And when you persist in that inner state, the outer world cannot resist. It must conform. There is a dimension within you that is infinite, and that infinite part of you speaks through imagination. God in you is your imagination. All of creation is finished. There is nothing to make, only what already exists to select. And selection happens by assumption. The moment you assume a state, you have chosen your path. Stay in that state, and it becomes your experience. You don't need to figure out the how. That is not your concern. The mechanism is none of your business. You do not need to manipulate people, rearrange circumstances, or hustle day and night. All that is needed is for you to remain faithful to the feeling that it is done. That is the beginning and end of creation. Do not entertain the senses if they contradict your desire. Do not ask when or how it will happen. That only invites doubt, and doubt dissolves creation. But faith in the unseen, that is the power that moves mountains. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is seeing with the eyes of imagination and refusing to be seduced by the appearances of the world. So many people pray for what they want, but then live as if they never received it. They cry out to the universe and then turn away in disbelief. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But you will know better. You will receive the answer the moment you assume the state of the answered prayer. Every time you fall asleep in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, you are planting the seed in the fertile ground of your subconscious. And your subconscious does not argue. It accepts what you give it and brings it to life. Every night is sacred. Every night is a doorway. The state in which you fall asleep will determine the direction of your life. If you go to sleep rehearsing old fears, old conversations, old disappointments, then you are recreating them again and again. But if you fall asleep as the person you wish to be, then the subconscious will take that state and bring it to pass with effortless ease. Your future is not created in the future. It is created now by what you accept as true. And truth is not what the world tells you. Truth is what you believe. If you believe you are successful, then that is your truth. If you believe you are chosen, then that is your truth. If you believe you are chosen, then that is your truth. If you believe that you are powerful, abundant, beloved, then all of creation must bow to that truth. The world does not argue with your assumption. It reflects it. So I ask you tonight, who are you willing to be? What are you willing to accept as true of yourself? Do not tell me what your senses report. Do not tell me what your bank account shows. Do not tell me what your past has taught you. Tell me instead what you are imagining. That is who you are. That is your destiny. There is nothing noble about denying yourself. There is nothing spiritual about suffering. You were not meant to scrape by. You were not meant to live in lack. You were not meant to beg for crumbs. You were meant to live fully, richly, freely, in alignment with the glorious power of your imagination. Do not underestimate tonight. For tonight, you can rewrite your entire life with one assumption, with one decision, with one act of faith. If you truly believe that what you imagine will come to pass, then all the forces of the universe rush forward to fulfill it. It will come wrapped in ordinary events, in perfect timing, through channels you never could have predicted, but it will come. You may not recognize it at first. It may appear as a small coincidence, a chance encounter, an unexpected opportunity. But when you hold fast to your inner conviction, you will see the invisible become visible. You will see your inner world spill out into your outer world. You will walk in the footsteps of your imagination, and you will call it destiny. There is no limit to what you can create, except the limit you place on yourself. Your imagination is God within you, and God is limitless. You can imagine health, and it will come. You can imagine love, and it will come. You can imagine riches, and they will come. There is no desire that was given to you that cannot also be fulfilled by you. Your desire is the proof that the thing itself exists, and is waiting for you to claim it. So tonight, listen with your soul, not with your ears, not with your logic, but with that deep inner knowing that has been whispering to you all your life. You are more than this. You are the source. You are the power. When you accept this, truly accept it, then the universe bows at your feet. Circumstances move. People appear. Doors open. Miracles become normal. And all you did was dare to imagine. You are not your history. You are not your body. You are not your limitations. You are imagination itself. You are eternal awareness, dreaming yourself into being. So why not dream boldly? Why not assume the highest and best? Why not enter into the state of already being all that you desire, and fall asleep in it? Because if you will do that, not only tonight, but every night, the universe will respond with breathtaking accuracy. It will reshape itself to mirror your inner world. It will give you signs, nudges, blessings, until you stand in the full manifestation of your assumption. And in that moment, you will know you were never waiting for anything. You were only waiting for yourself to believe. Let tonight be that night. Let tonight be the one night that changed everything. Let tonight be the moment you stepped into the truth and never looked back. Because from this moment forward, everything will rise to meet the version of you that you assume to be. And the universe, ever faithful, ever loving, will place it all at your feet. As you lie there, eyes closed, breath slow, drifting between waking and sleep, you will begin to notice a shift, a subtle but powerful stirring. The air around you becomes charged, as if it knows that something unseen has been set in motion. And indeed it has. For the moment you take on the assumption of the fulfilled desire, the entire structure of your reality begins to rearrange itself to accommodate your new identity. You do not need to scream into the void. You do not need to fight or force. You need only feel, deeply, deliberately, consistently, the feeling that it is done. This is the great key that unlocks the doors others spend lifetimes trying to break down. It is not in the effort. It is not in the repetition of mindless affirmations. It is not in begging some force outside of yourself. It is in surrendering to the knowing that what you claim inwardly must appear outwardly. It must. This is the law. Tonight I invite you to let go of logic. Let go of reason. Let go of all the arguments your mind has rehearsed to keep you in the place you've outgrown. Your only task now is to feel from the end, not toward it, not about it, but from it. Feel as though your desire were already fulfilled. Live in the assumption. Act in your imagination, as if everything has already unfolded in your favor. If you desire to travel the world, do not imagine the process of booking flights and earning money. No, imagine the view from a hotel window in the city of your dreams. Imagine the warmth of the foreign sun on your skin. Imagine the sounds, the scents, the feeling of being there. That is how you move mountains. If you wish to manifest a relationship, do not concern yourself with where or when or how. Just lie down tonight and feel the embrace of your lover. Hear their voice whispering to you. Smell their scent. Imagine a day in the life of being loved beyond measure. And if it is money you desire, then count it in your imagination. Run your fingers through it. Feel the confidence, the relaxation, the generosity that wealth inspires. Let it be more real than the bed beneath you. If you think this is just a fantasy, then understand this. Fantasy is simply imagination not believed. But the moment you believe it, it becomes a blueprint for reality. It becomes the mold from which the formless substance of creation is poured. Every great invention, every profound relationship, every fortune, every miracle began as a thought believed, a thought persisted in, a thought lived in. You are no different than those we call lucky or chosen. They simply chose to assume something greater. They did not wait for life to give them a reason to believe. They believed, and life rearranged itself in response. So must you. You are not here to live as a pawn to circumstance. You are here to remember that you are the dreamer, and the dream is yours to shape. Now when you wake in the morning, something will be different. Though the world may look the same, your inner world will have shifted. You may feel lighter. You may notice synchronicities. You may sense a deeper stillness, a calm confidence, as if something powerful has been set in motion. That feeling is correct, because everything has changed. You have stepped out of the state of waiting and into the state of having. Should doubt arise during the day, should the senses try to seduce you back into old ways of thinking, you will smile gently and return again to your assumption. You will say within yourself, "It is done," and then you will move as one who already is. For you are not trying to become, you are being. You are not waiting for signs, you are the sign. The more you dwell in that inner state, the more the outer world must bow to it. Friends will call you with offers. Strangers will compliment you. Money will flow unexpectedly. Healing will arrive without effort. And those who knew the old you will look on with amazement, asking what changed. And you will know, it was this. You decided one night to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. There will come a point when the dream feels so real in imagination that the outer world must rush to catch up. That is when manifestation becomes effortless. When you no longer hope for change, but live from the truth that change has already happened. It may come through channels you never considered. It may arrive through avenues your logic cannot explain, but it will come. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. This is the great secret, to assume and persist, to dwell and not waver, to fall asleep each night in the arms of your fulfilled desire, and to rise each morning as if it were already yours. There is nothing more powerful, no affirmation, no technique, no vision board, compares to the inner conviction of assumption. So tonight, let that be your only work. Forget the world for a moment. Leave behind the noise, the chatter, the contradiction of the senses. Go within, where all things are made. Go within, and choose your state. Make it vivid, make it sensual. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the ease, and let that state carry you into sleep. When you wake tomorrow, do not look around to see if it has happened. Simply continue in your assumption. Live your day as if everything you desire is already unfolding. Respond to life as one who already has it. Give thanks, not to get something, but because you already have it. And in that state of gratitude, everything you want must gravitate toward you. You are magnetic to the contents of your consciousness. The more deeply you dwell in a state, the more quickly the world reflects it. It is not about time, it is about faithfulness. Be faithful to your new identity. Be loyal to your inner world, and the outer must mirror it. If you falter, if you forget, do not punish yourself. Simply return, again and again. For every time you re-enter the state of the wish fulfilled, you strengthen it. You fertilize the seed, and soon the harvest comes. Let others debate. Let others question. You will know by experience. You will see proof upon proof. And once you have tasted this power, you will never again doubt that the universe, this living, breathing mirror of your consciousness, will put everything at your feet the moment you dare to believe that you already have it. So let the world say what it will. Let appearances play their part, for they are but shadows of former assumptions. They are echoes, not forecasts. You must learn to ignore them, not with resistance, but with quiet indifference. For you are no longer a follower of appearances. You are a master of inner causation, and what is felt is real within. You must clothe itself in form without. It is the law. The moment you take your attention off the unwanted and turn wholly to the desired, without contradiction, without hesitancy, you begin the transformation of your reality. Tonight, this very night, you are invited into the sacred chamber of creation, your own imagination. No doors to unlock, no rituals to perform, only one requirement: to feel it real. Not halfway, not with one eye open, to see if it works, but with full immersion, as if the world outside has already changed to fit the new inner scene. The deeper you commit to this state, the quicker the outer world aligns. For you are not manifesting from effort, you are manifesting from identity, from being. Let this one night be the turning point. Allow yourself to be foolish in the eyes of the rational. Let others cling to logic and evidence, while you dwell in the state of knowing. For the ones who change the world are never those who waited for permission. They are the ones who dared to believe, who assumed their desires were already theirs, and let the universe bend to their conviction. You will see, perhaps not in an explosion, but in 1,000 subtle signs, a conversation overheard that mirrors your inner dialogue, a sudden opportunity where none existed before, a person you once dreamed of calling you at the perfect moment. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are proof that your assumption has taken root in the fertile soil of the infinite. Do not underestimate the power of one night lived correctly in imagination. It is not repetition that manifests. It is acceptance. When you accept, truly accept, the state is yours. Even once, even for a single night, the machinery of the universe begins to turn. The wheels begin to align. You may not see the full picture immediately, but trust that it is working, because it must. You have entered into the state where the cause lives, and everything else must follow. What happens when you do this night after night, faithfully, joyfully, without strain? The new state becomes your natural dwelling place. It is no longer something you visit. It is where you live. And when that happens, the manifestations come not as surprises, but as inevitabilities. You will no longer ask, when will it happen? But rather, of course it has happened. What else could it do? This is the secret known to the mystics, the poets, the visionaries of old. They did not live by what their eyes showed them. They lived by the unseen, and the unseen became seen, time and time again. They trained themselves to feel more real in imagination than in fact, and in doing so, they altered fact. You too are being called to this mastery. It does not require years of study, only the willingness to turn inward with sincerity and feel. That is your sacred task tonight, nothing more. Close the door, dim the lights, and recline in your bed, not as a person waiting, but as a person fulfilled. Wrap yourself in the inner mood of success, of love, of freedom, of abundance. Make that feeling so rich, so alive, that nothing external can shake it. If you do this with conviction, with devotion, you will wake not just refreshed, but renewed. You will wake not just rested, but resurrected into a new identity, a new self, one who already has what they once longed for. The world may still look the same for a moment, but soon it will catch up. It always does. The world is slow to move, but sure. It cannot help but reflect back what you assume as true. That is the promise of the law, and the law never fails. So tonight you do not plead with the universe. You do not beg. You simply claim. You assume, and you sleep in the knowing that all you desire is already yours, not because you deserve it by outer merit, but because you have accepted it inwardly, because you have made it your home in consciousness. And that is the only requirement. The treasure house of the universe is within you, and you are its sole authority. No one can enter it but you. No one can give to you what you have not first accepted in imagination. But the moment you do, oh, the moment you do, everything you desire rushes forward to meet you. Doors open, delays dissolve, the impossible becomes ordinary. There are no accidents, there is only alignment, and you align by feeling from the end, not by hoping, not by waiting, but by stepping into the version of yourself who already has it. Speak as they would speak, walk as they would walk, breathe as they would breathe, and let your actions be informed by your assumption, not the other way around. People will look at you and wonder what changed. They'll sense a glow about you, an ease, a quiet power, and they will ask, what are you doing differently? And you will smile, not in arrogance, but in peace, because you will know. You listened one night, you felt it real, and everything changed. And still, it will not be the doing that changed it. It will be the being. The world does not respond to effort. It responds to identity. You become the one who has it, and the world must yield. It must, for it is your mirror, not a judge, not a gatekeeper, but a faithful reflector of your innermost belief. So tonight, let go of all effort, let go of all wondering. Step into your room, lie down in silence, and assume, not like a child wishing upon a star, but like a god commanding the stars, with calm, with certainty, with joy. For nothing is too big, too strange, too far gone. You are not bound by the past. You are only bound by your assumption of what is possible, and that assumption is entirely within your power. Feel now the thrill of your wish fulfilled. Let it surge through your chest. Let it warm your belly. Let it dance in your limbs. Let it become so natural, so constant, that you cannot remember what it felt like to doubt. Let it be your new normal. Let it be your dwelling place. And do not ask when it will come. Ask instead, how would I feel now if it had already come? And then feel it, live from it, sleep in it, and watch, just watch. The entire universe, that infinite orchestrator of form and matter, will respond. It must, for it is your servant, and it always delivers what you claim as true. And so I leave you with this truth, not as theory, but as a living law. What you assume to be true within must express itself without. There is no power outside of your consciousness. The universe is not random, nor is it withholding. It is obedient, faithfully, endlessly, to the command of your inner field. Tonight you are not merely going to sleep. You are stepping into creation. You are not waiting. You are becoming. And the world you wake up to will mirror who you dared to be in the stillness of your imagination. You do not need to force, to beg, or to hustle. You need only to feel the wish fulfilled. And when you do, the universe will move heaven and earth to make it visible to you. So assume it boldly. Feel it deeply. Sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And know this, when you rise in the morning, the universe will already be at your feet, preparing the path you have commanded. For it was never about the outer. It was always about what you dared to believe in the silence of one sacred night. Now go and manifest deliberately. The world is waiting for you.
How many of you have spent years of your precious life running after things, chasing people, pursuing opportunities, desperately grasping for what you believe will make you complete? How many sleepless nights have you endured, wondering why your efforts seem to yield so little fruit? Tonight, I tell you that this exhausting pursuit is not only unnecessary, but counterproductive to the very thing you seek to achieve. The universe operates on principles far more elegant and effortless than the struggle you have been taught to embrace. These principles are not mystical abstractions, but concrete laws, as reliable as the law of gravity itself. When you understand that everything in your external world is but a reflection of your internal state of consciousness, you begin to grasp why chasing creates distance, while attraction creates unity. Consider for a moment the nature of attraction itself. When you observe the natural world, you see that like attracts like with perfect precision. The earth attracts objects to its surface not through effort or strain, but through its very nature, its inherent gravitational field. Similarly, you possess within yourself a field of consciousness that attracts experiences, people, and circumstances that match its frequency and quality. But here lies the great misunderstanding that has caused so much unnecessary suffering in the world. Most people believe that they must first change their external circumstances in order to feel differently inside. They think they must first acquire the relationship, the wealth, the recognition, the health, and then they will finally experience the joy, peace, love, and fulfillment they seek. This is exactly backwards from how the universe actually functions. Your consciousness is the cause, and your external world is the effect. Your feelings, your mental states, your assumptions about yourself and life are the creative forces that shape and mold your experience. When you chase something, you are operating from the consciousness of lack, from the assumption that you do not have what you seek. And the universe, being perfectly responsive to consciousness, continues to give you experiences that confirm this assumption of not having. This is why the harder you chase, the more elusive your desire becomes. This is why desperation repels while confidence attracts. This is why those who seem to effortlessly receive what they want are not necessarily more deserving or fortunate, but are operating from a different state of consciousness altogether. Now, what does it mean to attract rather than chase? Attraction begins with a fundamental shift in your understanding of yourself and your relationship to your desires. Instead of seeing yourself as separate from what you want, you must come to recognize that in the realm of consciousness, you and your fulfilled desire are one. This is not philosophical speculation, but practical metaphysics. When you desire something, that very desire indicates that in the infinite field of possibilities, a version of you already exists who has that thing. Your work is not to chase this version of yourself, but to become conscious of it, to feel what it would feel like to be that person, to think the thoughts that person would think, to walk through life with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you already are who you wish to be. This requires what I call living in the end. Instead of focusing on the process of getting, you focus on the feeling of having. Instead of wondering how and when your desire will manifest, you cultivate the inner conviction that it already has manifested, at least in the realm of consciousness, which is the only realm that truly matters because it is the realm from which all physical manifestation springs. But let me be clear about what this means practically. Living in the end does not mean pretending or engaging in wishful thinking. It means cultivating the actual feeling state, the actual consciousness of already being the person who has what you desire. It means training your imagination to accept as true what your senses may not yet confirm. Your imagination is not mere fantasy. Your imagination is the creative power of God within you. Every single thing that exists in your physical world was first imagined. Every building, every invention, every relationship, every circumstance began as an imaginal act. When you consciously direct your imagination toward the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you set in motion forces that must, by law, produce corresponding external results. This is where most people stumble. They attempt to use their imagination sporadically, perhaps during a few minutes of visualization, and then spend the rest of their day dwelling in old patterns of thought and feeling that contradict their desire. They wonder why their imagination seems powerless, never realizing that imagination is always working, always creating, always manifesting whatever feeling state they most consistently inhabit. The secret of attraction lies in persistence of assumption. You must persist in the assumption that you already are who you want to be. You already have what you want to have, regardless of what your current circumstances might suggest. This persistence is not effortful striving, but rather a gentle, consistent return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled whenever you notice your consciousness has wandered into states of lack or limitation. Think of it this way. If you were absolutely certain that a dear friend was coming to visit you tomorrow, how would you feel today? You would feel peaceful, perhaps excited, certainly not worried or anxious about whether they would arrive. You would simply know they were coming and would naturally prepare for their arrival. This is exactly the consciousness you must maintain regarding your desires. Not the desperate hope that they might manifest, but the quiet certainty that they already are manifesting. This certainty cannot be forced or manufactured through mental effort. It emerges naturally when you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality, and that everything else is just consciousness pushed out, made visible. When you grasp that you are not a physical being having spiritual experiences, but rather a spiritual being having physical experiences, the whole game changes. Your body, your circumstances, your relationships, your environment are all projections of your consciousness, much like images on a movie screen are projections of the film. If you want to change what appears on the screen, you do not manipulate the screen itself. You change the film. Similarly, if you want to change your external world, you do not manipulate external conditions. You change your consciousness. This is why chasing is futile and attraction is inevitable. When you chase, you are trying to change the screen while leaving the film unchanged. When you attract, you change the film, and the screen must change accordingly. There is no choice in the matter. Consciousness always externalizes itself. It cannot do otherwise. But what about action, you might ask? Should you take no action at all? Of course you should take action. But the quality and nature of that action will be completely different when it springs from the consciousness of already having rather than the consciousness of trying to get. Action taken from the state of having is inspired action. It feels natural, effortless, joyful. You are moved to act not from desperation or fear of missing out, but from the overflow of your fulfilled consciousness. When you are truly living in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, the right actions will suggest themselves to you. The right opportunities will present themselves. The right people will enter your life. But these will not feel like coincidences or strokes of luck. They will feel like the natural unfolding of what was always meant to be. This brings us to one of the most beautiful aspects of living by attraction rather than chase. You will discover that what comes to you is always better than what you were chasing. When you release the need to control exactly how and when and through whom your good comes to you, you have infinite engines to orchestrate circumstances in ways far more wonderful than your limited human mind could have devised. How many times have you been disappointed when something you were chasing did not materialize, only to later realize that something far better was waiting for you? How many times have you received exactly what you needed at exactly the right moment, even though it did not come in the form you expected? This is the universe conspiring in your favor. But it can only do so when you release the tight grip of trying to control outcomes and instead trust the perfect intelligence that governs all manifestation. The key to this trust lies in understanding that your desires are not arbitrary ones imposed upon an unwilling universe. Your desires are actually the universe calling you toward greater expressions of yourself. Every genuine desire you have is a preview of something that already exists for you in the realm of infinite possibilities. You would not be capable of wanting something that was not already yours in consciousness. This is why what belongs to you will find you. It is not really separate from you. It is you pushed out, made manifest. But as long as you relate to it as something external that you must pursue and capture, you maintain the illusion of separation that prevents its natural emergence into your experience. Think of the sun and its rays. The rays are not separate from the sun trying to reach it. They are the sun itself extended. Similarly, your good is not separate from you. It is you yourself, extended into form and experience. When you realize this, the whole frantic energy of chasing dissolves into the peaceful recognition that you need only be yourself fully. And everything that is yours by divine right will naturally flow into your experience. But being yourself fully does not mean remaining as you have always been. It means becoming conscious of who you really are beneath all the limitations you have accepted about yourself. It means recognizing that the person who already has what you desire is not some future version of you, but your true self, temporarily obscured by false beliefs and assumptions. Every limitation in your life exists only because you have accepted it as true. Every lack, every problem, every frustration is simply the outpicturing of a limiting belief you have unconsciously maintained. But here is the wonderful news. Since consciousness is the only cause, you can change any condition by changing your consciousness of it. This does not mean denying what appears to be true in your external world. It means recognizing that what appears to be true is only relatively true, true only as long as you continue to give it the consent of your consciousness. The moment you withdraw that consent and begin to consciously assume something different, you initiate a change that must manifest externally. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Suppose you desire a loving relationship but find yourself continually attracting partners who are unavailable or unsuitable. The chasing approach would have you trying harder to find the right person, perhaps changing your appearance, your social circles, your dating strategies. But all of this effort springs from the consciousness that you are someone who does not have love, someone who must search for it outside yourself. The attraction approach requires you to first become conscious of yourself as someone who is already deeply loved and cherished. Not by any specific person, but by life itself, by the universe, by the very consciousness that you are. When you truly feel this love for yourself, when you recognize your own inherent lovability and worth, you will naturally attract people who reflect this consciousness to you. But the miracle goes even deeper than this. When you are truly filled with self-love and self-acceptance, you may discover that you no longer need another person to complete you. You may find that the relationship you attract is not born from neediness or loneliness, but from genuine joy and the desire to share your overflow of love with another. This creates an entirely different quality of relationship, one based on freedom rather than dependency, on choice rather than desperation. This principle applies to every area of life. If you desire wealth, you must first become conscious of yourself as inherently abundant, as someone to whom prosperity flows naturally. If you desire health, you must first feel what it feels like to be vibrantly healthy and alive. If you desire recognition for your talents, you must first recognize and appreciate your own gifts without waiting for external validation. Do you see the pattern? In every case, you must become internally what you wish to experience externally. This is not about earning or deserving. This is about aligning your consciousness with the truth of what already exists in the infinite field of possibilities. But how do you maintain this consciousness when everything around you seems to contradict it? How do you feel abundant when your bank account is empty? How do you feel loved when you are alone? How do you feel healthy when your body is showing symptoms of illness? This is where the real work begins, and it is work that requires tremendous discipline and persistence. The answer lies in understanding the difference between facts and truth. Facts are the current conditions visible to your senses. Truth is what is possible in consciousness. Facts change constantly. Truth is eternal. When you live by facts, you remain imprisoned by current conditions. When you live by truth, you become a conscious creator of new conditions. This does not mean you ignore practical realities or become delusional. It means you recognize that practical realities are simply the current picturing of past consciousness, while your present consciousness is creating your future realities. You deal appropriately with current facts, while inwardly dwelling in the truth of what you are becoming. This brings us to the crucial understanding that manifestation takes time. There is always an interval between the shift in consciousness and its full expression in your external world. During this interval, you must maintain your new consciousness despite appearances that might suggest nothing is changing. This is the test that determines whether you will successfully attract what you desire or fall back into old patterns of chasing. Most people give up during this interval. They assume their new way of thinking is not working and revert to old methods of struggle and effort. But those who persist, who continue to live in the consciousness of their wish fulfilled, regardless of external appearances, always see their assumption manifest in their experience. This persistence is made easier when you understand that the interval serves a purpose. It allows the universe to rearrange itself to accommodate your new consciousness. It allows you to become fully established in your new self-concept before external circumstances change. It ensures that when your manifestation appears, you will be truly ready to receive and maintain it. During this interval, you may notice subtle changes beginning to occur. New people may enter your life. New opportunities may present themselves. Your own thoughts and reactions may begin to shift. These are signs that your new consciousness is taking root and beginning to externalize itself. Trust these signs even when the full manifestation has not yet appeared. Remember, the universe is always working in your favor, but its methods are often different from what your human mind expects. What looks like delay may actually be divine timing. What seems like rejection may actually be redirection towards something better. What appears to be failure may actually be preparation for greater success. This is why attraction requires faith, but not blind faith. It requires faith based on understanding. Faith rooted in the knowledge that consciousness is the only cause and effect is inevitable. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not doubt that it will grow simply because you cannot see immediate evidence of growth. You trust the process because you understand the law of plant growth. Similarly, when you plant a new assumption in consciousness, you must trust the process of manifestation even when you cannot yet see external evidence. But faith without works is dead, and the work required is the work of consciousness. You must daily, hourly, moment by moment, choose to return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You must catch yourself when your thoughts drift into old patterns of lack and limitation and gently redirect them toward the consciousness of already having what you desire. This is not always easy, especially in the beginning. Your old consciousness has momentum. It has been practiced for years, perhaps decades. It will not give up without resistance. But every time you choose the new consciousness over the old, you weaken the old patterns and strengthen the new ones. Eventually, living in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled becomes as natural as breathing. And what happens there is truly miraculous. You will begin to notice that circumstances arrange themselves to support your new consciousness. People will offer help without being asked. Opportunities will present themselves at exactly the right moment. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable will simply dissolve. What you once chased will begin to chase you. This is not metaphor. This is the literal operation of spiritual law. When your consciousness is aligned with your desire, you become a magnet for everything that corresponds to that consciousness. You do not need to know how this happens. You do not need to understand the mechanisms. You need only to maintain the consciousness and trust the process. But there is something even more wonderful than receiving what you thought you wanted. As you live increasingly from the consciousness of fulfillment rather than lack, you will discover that your capacity for joy, peace, and satisfaction grows exponentially. You will find that you are less dependent on external conditions for your happiness. You will realize that the ultimate treasure was never the things you desire, but the consciousness itself. The awareness that you are the creator of experience. From this consciousness, your desires themselves will begin to change. You will want what serves not only yourself, but the highest good of all. You will be drawn to desires that express more love, more beauty, more truth in the world. Your personal fulfillment will become a contribution to the greater fulfillment of humanity itself. This is the natural evolution of consciousness when it's freed from the bondage of chasing and allowed to express itself through attraction. What begins as a personal technique for manifesting desires eventually becomes a way of living that benefits everyone it touches. Those around you will begin to notice something different about you. They will be drawn to your peace, your confidence, your natural radiance. They will want to know your secret, and you will be able to share with them the same truth I am sharing with you tonight. That everything they seek is already theirs in consciousness, waiting only for their recognition and acceptance. But perhaps the most profound realization that comes from living by attraction rather than chase is the understanding that you were never really lacking anything to begin with. All the things you thought you needed in order to be happy, fulfilled, or complete were always available to you in consciousness. The love you sought from others was always present in your relationship with yourself and with life. The abundance you thought existed only in material possessions was always flowing through your awareness of the infinite possibilities available in every moment. The recognition you craved from the world was always available in your appreciation of your own unique gifts and contributions. The security you thought could only come from external circumstances was always present in your understanding that consciousness itself is your permanent foundation, unchanging and eternal regardless of temporary conditions. When you realize this, gratitude becomes your natural state. Not gratitude for what you hope to receive, but gratitude for what you are already receiving in every moment. Not gratitude as a technique to attract more, but gratitude as the spontaneous response to recognizing the abundance that is always present. From this state of natural gratitude, you attract effortlessly because you are no longer attracting from need, but from overflow. You give because you cannot help but give, having recognized that giving and receiving are the same movement of consciousness. You love because you are love itself, not because you hope to receive love in return. This is the consciousness of one who has learned the secret of attraction. This is the state of being that makes chasing unnecessary and magnetism inevitable. This is your natural state, obscured only temporarily by beliefs that taught you to see yourself as separate from your good. Tonight, I invite you to begin the journey back to this natural state. I invite you to the experiment with living in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, even if only for a few minutes at a time in the beginning. I invite you to feel what it would feel like to already have what you desire, to already be who you want to become. Notice how different this feels from the energy of chasing. Notice how peaceful, how natural, how right it feels to assume that what belongs to you is already yours. Notice how this assumption, when maintained consistently, begins to change not only how you feel, but how others respond to you and how circumstances arrange themselves around you. Most importantly, notice that this is not a technique you are learning, but a truth you are remembering. Deep within you, beneath all the conditioning and programming, you have always known that you are the creator of your experience. You have always known that consciousness is the only reality and that everything else is consciousness made visible. The journey from chasing to attracting is really the journey from forgetfulness to remembrance, from believing yourself to be a victim of circumstances to recognizing yourself as the author of your story. It is the journey from seeing yourself as separate from your good to knowing yourself as one with all that you desire. This journey requires courage because it asks you to rely on invisible principles rather than visible proof. It requires faith because it asks you to believe in your power to create before you have evidence of that power. It requires persistence because it asks you to maintain new assumptions even when old conditions temporarily persist. But the rewards of this journey are beyond anything you can imagine from your current perspective. To live in the consciousness of already having everything you need, to move through life with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are the creator of your experience, to attract effortlessly what serves your highest good. This is to live as you were meant to live. You were not meant to struggle and chase and fight for scraps of happiness in a hostile universe. You were meant to live in the awareness of your inherent power, your natural abundance, your divine right to experience all the good that life has to offer. You were meant to be a conscious collaborator with the infinite intelligence that governs all manifestation. The time for chasing is over. The time for attraction has begun. What belongs to you is already on its way to you, drawn by the magnetic power of your aligned consciousness. Your only work is to be the person who already has what you desire, to feel what that person would feel, to think what that person would think, to trust what that person would trust. Do this consistently, persistently, faithfully, and you will discover that the universe is not only willing, but eager to fulfill your every genuine desire. You will learn that what you thought was hard work was actually resistance to your own good. You will understand that what you believed required struggle was simply waiting for your acceptance. Tonight, accept the truth of who you are. Accept your power to create through consciousness. Accept that what you desire already desires you. Accept that the chase is over and the time of attraction has begun. Accept that what belongs to you will find you because in the deepest truth, it never left you at all. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is the practical spiritual science that governs all manifestation. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it in service of your highest vision for yourself and for the world. And watch as your life transforms from one of desperate seeking to one of graceful receiving, from one of lack and limitation to one of abundance and infinite possibility. The choice is yours in every moment. Chase or attract. Seek or receive. Believe in separation or know your unity with all good. Whatever you choose will become your experience because consciousness is always faithful to its own assumptions. Choose well and choose now, for this moment is the only moment in which creation actually occurs. This moment is where your future is being born from the womb of your present consciousness.